one guy did. He went to shore and he just got so drunk he couldn't stand it. You know.
Well, how did he die?
He aspirated in his sleep. He threw off and sucked it in. And
It's not a very good way to die at war.
no.
He was on your ship and he
Yeah.
died totally unrelated to the war.
Yeah, it was too bad. You know? I mean, some of the guys, they were very young. They when they got on shore, they just went nuts. They went wild.
Yeah.
And some of them had to be like restrained, being brought back. They just hadn't grown up yet. They were like 18, 19, 20 years old, and full of booze and drugs and whatever. But I will say that when we went on shore, you'd catch things like coals and everything else that we catch. And when the ship pulled out of port, there'd be a lot of sickness on the ship, and there'd be a big line at the doctor's office. We had doctors and dentists on our ship. But after, say, a week and a half, everybody was healthy. I mean, there was no sickness at all.
Yeah. So was being on the ship enjoyable for you, or?
Oh yeah, it was very enjoyable. Again, I was with people we're all together on it. We were all about the same age. I mean, the senior commanders were older, but the rest of us, and some of the enlisted men were like younger than us. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it. It was fun, really. I mean, heck of a thing to say war was fun, but I
Enjoyed it.
yeah.
Did you ever have homesickness?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh,
No.
interesting.
We did have after a year, I was over there 2 years, and I came back each time. And the first year, the second year actually, we're coming off the gun line, and they decided to make a political stop. So the captain asked, we had an opportunity to go to Australia, and so he put up to the vote who on the ship wants to go to Australia and who wants to go back to San Diego. And there was just a few of us that wanted to go to Australia. Yeah, I thought that was, I'd never been there, let's go. But a lot of guys had just been married when they got on the ship. And so they all voted like 2/3 to go back to San Diego. And like 1/3 said we're gonna go to Australia. And the captain said, oh fine, I have the tally here. Now I'm gonna vote. And he said, I'm gonna voting for Australia. We're going to Australia. So we went to Australia.
Were people mad about that, or they just kind of went with it?
Yeah, I suppose they grumbled, but what can they do? You know, the captain wanted to go.
You just went on vacation, pretty much, to Australia, or?
Yeah, it was in World War I. They had the White Fleet that went around the world, and that was like a nation building, like a political statement that America is strong enough to send a fleet around the world. It wasn't anything like that, but it was on the same venue that here the warships were going down to Australia, and just to show the flag, more or less, and that's what we did. Yeah. We went to Melbourne, and we were down there for 2 weeks. A lot of fun.
Yeah. So you were back and forth from Vietnam for about 2 years.
I was in Vietnam for one tour, then I went back to San Diego, and then back again.
How long were you in San Diego?
I think about 2 months.
You never got to go home in those 2 months? See your family? Did they visit?
Yeah, when you're in the military, you can get on military planes and go anywhere, all free. And that's what we did. They would have these Air Force, so long as I was in the States. And I guess I could have taken a trip when I was overseas too, but heaven forbid you didn't get back when you're supposed to be back, and that's not good. But anyways, when we went back on the States in San Diego, we were given leave and vacation, and we would just hop on a plane and fly wherever you wanted to.
Wow.
I mean, not directly. You might go from San Diego to Houston
Yeah.
to Mayport, Florida, up to Chicago and over to Boston. Who knows? But that's. And then there was these bachelor officers' quarters that if you didn't get a flight immediately, you'd have a bed to sleep in and a meal. I mean, it was wonderful.
How immediate would the flights normally be? Like you'd say, I want to go.
You would have catch as catch can, you know. I mean, if I was going to Chicago and I was in Houston, you know, I'd have to either wait. Maybe one would go to Chicago, but here I had one going to Indianapolis. Oh, that's close enough, so I'll get on that one and then get another one.
Yeah. Okay. How was it being back in America after being on ships and in other countries for a year?
Well, again, the reception was really bad. We were not welcomed home at all.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible shame, but that's the way it was back then. You know, there was a lot of anti-war. They just didn't like the military at all. So it was very disappointing for me to come back.
Yeah.
But I went to after I got out, I went to school. I went to graduate school and got a degree. But I was also on the GI Bill that paid for it, and I continued in reserves, naval reserves, going to meetings once a week. And I was paid for that, a salary for that. In exchange, I had to take a 2-week cruise, and I did. Well, it was Mayport, Florida, and it was a minesweeper. I mean, I'm going from this ship that's like 800 feet long to this minesweeper that absolutely bobbed and weaved like a cork.
Yeah.
And I've never been on anything like that, so small.
Do you get seasick?
No, not seasick, but imagine trying to sleep at night in your bed and the ship is rolling and your head is going back and forth. So you had to jam your head up against the wall with a pillow just so you wouldn't bang it, you know. And, yeah.
Was the war still going on when you came home?
It was going on, but it was kind of winding down a little. I got out in 1969, and it was pretty much winding down, I'd say. They were getting out. And I mentioned reserves. I was a lieutenant junior grade. And then when I went to reserves, I went up to be a lieutenant, full lieutenant. But the pyramid was so steep then because the war was winding down that they didn't need that many people in reserves anymore. And so, in terms of me making lieutenant commander, that just wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So between that and me having a very challenging job at the time, I started with a big accounting firm. I had to drop reserves.
What did you do in the reserves?
Well, we had meetings. We had they have education. You have to take classes.
About what?
Let me see. There was classes on, again, navigation, I think, engineering, operations. They would have these big tubs, and they'd have these little boats radio controlled, and they were supposed to be scaled to size, and then you would sit there on the side of the tub and try to park this ship, and then you try to back it out, you know, and you have to, they call them propellers. There was 2 propellers on each side, and just by having one propeller going forward and one going backward, you could turn the ship. You didn't have to have any way on. You just spun the ship, and that's how you drove a big ship. Yeah.
So going back to the war, do you have any very memorable moments while you were?
Yeah, I made one mistake over there.
What happened?
Well, I was the communications watch officer, and I was on watch in the evening, and we were making a strike the next day at, we'll say 7 o'clock in the morning, and the captain says we're going to make the strike, and so here's a message, get it out to these 4 destroyers so we can all meet at 7 o'clock at this one place and just
All the ships.
all the ships and then hit them.
And he told that to just you, right? Because you were the
Yeah, because I'm the watch officer.
Yeah.
Well, there was just a huge thunderstorm. I mean, there was lightning and thunder, and I couldn't get the message out. And I had my other guys trying to get it out, and we put it on different radios and at different frequencies, and up the power, lower the power, everything we could do. Couldn't get that message out. I did everything I could, except tell my superiors that I couldn't get it out. Oh my God. So we were the only ones to show up at the firefight. The destroyers.
Out of 4 were supposed to be there?
Yeah, we were 4 others were supposed to be there.
Yeah,
And they never showed, and so we showed up by ourselves. Oh my goodness! So that was, I was called into the captain's chambers on that one, and I lost my liberty next time in port. I couldn't go ashore. But it was,
What does that mean?
you just can't, when the ship goes in port, you can get off the ship?
You couldn't get off?
No.
So it was like a timeout?
The timeout. And the other time, I should
Yeah,
have time for one other.
Of course.
We're going back from Vietnam to the Philippines, and generally you have movies on the ship. So everybody's in the movies. And
On the ship, had movies?
yeah, we had several movies. We had, at the same time, some in the wardroom for the officers, and then the enlisted men, and then the chiefs had theirs. So 3 movies, and they were first-run movies. But we have popcorn, we have Kool-Aid, and it was. So, anyways, I was given the con of the ship, and the ship is going back, and we want to make time, so we're doing about 35 knots, which is really hustling. And we're just barreling through the night, and I have the 8 at night to midnight shift.
Meanwhile, everyone's watching movies?
Yeah, everybody's watching movies. I'm driving. Not myself, but I'm telling them where to go, and there's a navigator and a steerman and all that stuff. We're going along, and we look ahead, and we start to see a flicker here, and then a flicker there, and then a flicker here, flicker there, flicker everywhere. Oh my God, we're just bearing down on a fleet of canoes that were fishing, little fishing boats of, I don't know, they must have, Filipinos, I guess. I don't know who they were. So I called for hard left rudder. Well, when the ship gets hard left rudder, it just lurches, almost like 45 degrees over, because we just slammed the rudder over. And we missed these fishing boats, which we would have just run over. I mean, they'd have been done. Either we would have hit them, they'd have been sucked in, or our waves would have splashed them over. They'd been done.
Yeah.
Well, I was summoned to the wardroom by the captain. So I go down there, and there's the captain sitting with his white uniform on, Kool-Aid all over his pants. Oh my God! He says, "Mr. Falsick, what is going on?" And popcorn all over the floor. It was not pretty, but no, I was not disciplined for that one though.
Because there's no way you would have known that those guys were there, right?
No, I could have run them over, but that wouldn't have been humane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have some good stories.
It was, and I've talked to people my own age that said, "Oh, I don't even know anybody that's been in the military."
Yeah.
And I just say, too bad.
Yeah.
Because in my profession now, I'm an accountant, and I've been there for accounting for 40 years, take off 4 years. I could have been an accountant for 36 years. What's the difference?
Yeah.
36 years, 40 years, but I did something when I was
Yeah.
younger.
What do you think you learned from it, from being at the war in general, just long term?
Well, we learned how to deal with people because we were thrown right in it. I had this division of 70 people. I have to be honest and say that the division was really run by the chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
We had chief petty officers, about 10 of them,
Mm-hmm.
and they really ran it.
Out of the 77 there were 10 of them?
Chiefs are there's officers, there's chiefs, and then there's the enlisted. And the chiefs are experts in an area, like communications.
Mm-hmm.
And so they know their stuff, and they're career guys, they're older.
Yeah.
And so really, when you go in as an officer, you really don't mess with the chiefs.
Yeah.
Because, it would be ridiculous to try to order them around. You can, but you wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
Because you're green and they know what they're doing, so you let them do their thing. Yeah. So officers are more administrators. If we have a new man coming in, we ensure that he is scheduled for any kind of education that he has to have to get up to his next level.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're supposed to muster with the troops. Everybody on muster, everybody comes up together and stands at attention more or less. And then we look if anybody's missing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what a muster is. But we do it by groups. There'd be the gunnery group, there'd be the deck group, there'd be the engineers, there'd be the navigators, and there'd be the radiomen.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So when you came home, you were all full of pride and stuff, and then Americans just kind of...
Yeah, it was bad. Well, of course, as a young person, you always kind of like go where the young people are,
Mm-hmm.
and young people that weren't in the military were very much against the military.
Like on the college campuses, right?
Exactly, college campuses, the discos and bars, all that stuff. They were all anti-military.
What would you do when you would see one of those? Just...
What can you do? There's more of them than there were
Yeah,
of us, There was. I traveled with other military guys because, as I said, we would take planes or whatever together.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go into, you really can't get in a fight with them because they're just spewing venom. That's
Yeah.
all.
Did all you military guys feel the same about the protesters?
I would say so. Yeah.
Because you all kind of had the same view on the war a little bit? Like you knew why you were there and...
Well, as a young person, you're not that political. You just this is an opportunity to join a cause, so you join the cause.
Yeah.
It's not like now when you turn on the news and you see what this party is doing, and oh my God, the president is doing this stupid thing again. You never, you never think like that when you're a young person.
Yeah. So what would you say are, just the final question, what would you say are the lessons of Vietnam? How has it affected you today?
Well, of course, we lost in Vietnam. We declared victory and lost. So that was, and we're doing the same thing in Iraq, and it goes on. It's just human nature. It'll probably go on again and again and again. So I have no view on it other than that it'll be repeated. History seems to be always repeated. Even though you know about it, it's going to happen for some cause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Pops.
Well, thank you, Kendall-Ann. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, of
being
course,
interviewed
always.
by an austere,
Yeah, that's me.
august.
That's me. All right.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.